Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. We are on episode 20. Today I have Mr. Joseph Simpson here. Joseph is an airline pilot. So we are going to unpack what an airline pilot does when he's not in the air and hear his story. So Joseph, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, where you from.
So I'm 26 years old. I grew up here in Canton, still live here today. And grew up in Canton, still live here. And currently what I'm doing now is I fly for a company called SkyWest, flying the small jets for American. And so SkyWest is a contract company, and we contract with Delta, American, United, and Alaska. And so my position is I'm based in Dallas, Fort Worth, and fly the small regional jets for American Airlines.
Really?
Yep.
So I did not know that. We'll have to unpack that part. So you put on an American Airlines hat?
Actually, our uniforms are generic. It fits all four brands across the board.
Really?
Our uniforms are kind of a hodgepodge of Delta's uniform, a little bit of American bits and pieces, and so it kind of flows for everybody that we work for.
Say the four groups you fly for again. American and who?
Delta, United, and Alaska.
Okay. Do you have a favorite out of those? I can tell you who mine is not.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. The truth is, being based in Dallas, I do a lot of American flying. When I was based in Houston, I did a lot of United flying. Mm-hmm. So, it's six half a dozen which partner I'm working for. I really prefer Dallas because I like commuting from Jackson to Dallas a lot easier than I did going from Jackson to Houston.
So commuting, do you drive there?
I fly there most of the time.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes good sense.
Yeah, that's another whole ordeal in itself.
I'm interested in unpack this stuff. So, all right, so you're 26, you live in Canton. You went to what?
Delta State. That's where I did all
Where'd you go to high school?
Canton Academy.
Canton Academy.
Yep.
Panther? Tiger? What is
Panthers.
that? Panther.
Yep.
Did you have any jobs when you were in high school?
Most of my working outside of aviation was mostly working for my dad on our family cattle farm.
Really?
Yep.
It's in Canton?
Actually, we have some land up in around West Vaden, Mississippi.
Really?
And that's what my brother does. He lives up there full time running that operation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beef cows or?
Yeah. Yeah.
How much land up there?
It's in total around, I think, 1,300 acres with about 500 or 600 of it is pasture. And then the rest is timber that's actually being cut right now. So.
Wow. East or west of 55?
East.
I was going to say, if this pilot does not know east or west, we in a bind.
It's actually it's a joke between JP and I. I used to have terrible sense of direction in that regard. And it wasn't until I started flying
I didn't know
around
you were related
here.
to my wife.
It wasn't until I started flying around here and I started seeing everything from the air that I started to get my sense of orientation.
Man, once you get that figured out, I know I say this all the time, but once you get your cardinals figured out, life is so easy.
It is.
It's just a breeze. All right, that is awesome. So you grew up doing farm chores. I bet that was a lot of learning.
Oh, yeah.
Good learning there.
Yeah.
Hard work ethic, all that instilled in you probably at an early age. All right, so you did that. You went to Delta State. All right, so the aviation deal, is there anybody in your family? What triggered that? Where would you just...
No, not really anybody. I have an uncle who flew when he was a teenager and, hasn't flown in 30 years, and that's about the closest aviator I've got in my family. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually a bit of a funny story how I got started on this. So I graduated high school. I went to Mississippi State for one semester and hated it. And I just
hate to hear that.
At the time, I wasn't really mature enough to be, going away from home. I wasn't really interested in living in a dorm room on a campus with 8,000 people. I really wanted to just be working in my shop, goofing around on the farm, you know? So I went to state for a semester. Then I was at Holmes Community College, and I met a girl who was going to Delta State. And I was like, well, I mean, you know, I might as well see this school thing through. Might as well go to Delta State. It's not like I got anything better to do, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I tell people, yeah, I'm going to Delta State next semester, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's saying, oh, man, you know, Delta State's got this great aviation program. You ought to look in this aviation thing, right? And so, you know, growing up, I've always been obsessed with machines, right? Tractors, bulldozers, you name it. And so I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, flying an airplane is kind of like driving a tractor or a bulldozer. It's just a big machine. You just got to be more educated to do it, obviously. And I've got the opportunity to go get the education. So why not look into this? And so I kind of went into it with that mindset and, man, just fell in love with it. And switched my major.
So like you were interested in bulldozers and those tractors and stuff from like a mechanical aspect or just
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything. That's always kind of been my passion growing up, whether it be playing with tractors
a lot
in
of
the
people,
dirt.
the younger generation. I mean, I'm 38, and to hear the what I would say younger generation being 26, I don't feel like you hear a lot of people that are mechanically interested in things. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and so that it actually really proved well for me in my aviation training because I have a lot of mechanical experience outside of aviation, just working on trucks, tractors, four-wheelers, you
Growing
name
up
it.
on a farm,
Right. And so it was always kind of funny. And in school, we have to take all these systems classes where you have to kind of learn and know about airplane mechanics and systems to a degree. You're not learning how to work on them per se. You just need to know how they work.
Right.
And I was always crushing it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look smart. So, all right. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this. All right. So you go to Delta State. You were top of your class. I got a pretty good feeling. Okay. So, all right. What is this? Is aviation a 4-year program? Or
At Delta State it is, yeah.
Okay.
It's a 4-year program. And so, you know, because I kind of came in the game a little late, I pretty much had all my general education classes done. And so I finished up all my aviation coursework and I finished all my classes on campus before I actually finished all my flight training. So there was about a semester and a half where I wasn't going to class on campus. I was just flying to finish up my training.
You just stay in a dorm room or something up in
Yeah, I did the dorm room thing my first year there, and then got involved with a fraternity and met a group of people, and so I found a house to live in with a couple other guys.
Okay. All right. So you graduated from Delta State when?
Let's see, that would have been 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go with that.
So what's your first move, or is there like an internship or anything you do, or you just get the degree and then come out?
Yeah, you get your degree, you come out of training, and you've got roughly about 250 to 300 hours of flight time.
Okay.
And you got to have more than that to work in the airlines. So what?
During your flight, I'm just asking random questions because I've always wanted to get my pilot's license, and we've got a farm in north of Cleveland, and I've always dreamed of having a little plane and flying from here up there and just, but my wife won't let me do it. But anyway, so during that flight, the flight hours that you had to get, do you fly you fly jet? Do you fly a crop duster? Like, is there?
Yeah, so there's, all sorts of, we call them time building jobs. Some of the few and far between are like pipeline surveying, skydive pilots, towing banners like the guys you see at the beach. And this all has one thing in common. You're flying, pretty small single engine airplanes. The route that I took, which is by far the most common, is be a flight instructor and teach flight training. And you do that to build your time that way.
Okay.
And so I worked out here at Madison Flyers at the Madison Airport teaching flight lessons for about 2 years.
Do you know Dustin Ratliff?
Yes. I actually had lunch with him a couple months ago.
Really? He's a friend of mine. Grew up with him in Ridgeland years ago.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. So, All right, you graduated. What's your first move job-wise?
Was flight instructing out there at Madison.
Your girlfriend at the time, do y'all stay together? I mean, I know that's personal, but
We're married now, so
awesome.
I would say
Awesome.
this
What
whole
did she graduate in?
she actually graduated in dietetics, and so we may have to cut this part out, but dietetics is a very poor field in Mississippi. So she now works as a medical assistant at a dermatology clinic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
she does, and she loves it. So
That's awesome. Well, loving your job is a big part of it. So,
yeah.
All right, what's your first move out of, you got your flight certificate, you graduate, what's
So
your move?
we go flight instruct out there at Madison. I did that for 2 years, and I was kind of trying to play the field a little bit, see who all I could meet, what opportunities I could make here in Madison, and met a lot of great people who I still keep
That's
up
a
with.
good point. I didn't really think about that, but if you're a flight instructor for people that are probably business owners and stuff that are scratching that itch,
Yep.
you probably can make some really good connections.
Oh yeah. Definitely made a lot of good connections and had a lot of fun doing it. Met some wonderful people and people that I keep up with still to this day. And so, I reached my time where I was eligible to go to the airlines. I really didn't have any solid leads or job prospects around here. So I said, well, I kind of got to move on. So I went and did that. And it's proved to be, a pretty, how do I want to put this? It's a good career path, put it that way.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
You could climb the ladder in this industry and retire, well off.
Yeah.
If you climb the ladder the whole way up.
Right. Was there like your other classmates and stuff, was it, because you got ag pilots, which is a whole nother deal. Was there a lot of people that were like, I'm going to be an ag pilot, or was it a fork in the road with that, or was it just kind of, there's so many different ways to go.
It's incredible how many
Skydiving,
ways there is.
instructing, commercial.
And actually, Delta State didn't start doing ag pilot training until about a year or two after I left. So most of the people in my class were trying to go the airline track.
Okay.
Being in Cleveland, we had a lot of people who are from Memphis, and their mom or their dad flies for FedEx or something like that, and that was kind of their goal.
Okay.
Was to
Interesting.
go through the program, get their hours, and try to get to FedEx someday.
So Memphis doesn't have, so Delta State was the best option for aviation if you lived in Memphis?
Yeah, because it's kind of an all-in-one package. You get your degree, you get your training. And one other thing I'll mention about Delta State specifically, there's a few of these universities in the country that do this, but in order to go to the airlines, you have to have 1,500 hours of total flight time. But because I graduated at Delta State, I was able to do it at 1,000 hours of flight time.
Really?
Yep, because you graduated from an accredited university.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, just typically that 500-hour gap, how long would it take you to acquire those 500 hours?
It kind of depends on the person and where you are and what you're doing, but it could be anywhere from 6 months to a year.
Yeah. Is it true that you cannot drink and then fly the next morning or something like that? Somebody was telling me that you can't.
The regulation says 8 hours.
Okay.
So we kind of have this joke in the industry of 8 hours bottle to throttle.
That's what I've heard. Bottle to throttle is what I've heard. Interesting. All right. So you never did the ag pilot route. I've got, actually, funny thing, I have a ag pilot flying wheat on some property right now for me as we speak. Carl Holcomb out of Flora.
Yeah. So I actually worked with his son, Carlton.
Okay.
We both instructed out there at Madison.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And then I had a guy last week, John Jolly. I don't know if you know him. He flew some wheat on for me at another place, and then I fly all my food plots with wheat. It's brilliant, by the way. It just makes total sense economically and everything. Lyle Malloy is a guy who flies our place up in North Delta out of Shelby. But this is intriguing. I'm trying to figure out what next. So, all right, so you went to SkyWest. Is that where you went immediately?
Out of my instructor days, yes.
Okay.
I applied to
you've
SkyWest.
been there how long?
I've been there about a year and a half. I started training with them in March of 2024.
What's the longest flight you've done?
The longest one, oh man, definitely, definitely was a couple weeks ago. We went Chicago to Idaho Falls, Idaho. And that alone is about a 3.5 hour flight. And
Into the wind.
into the wind. See, you're picking up on this. And then when we get there, our gate is occupied. So we sat there on the ground for an hour waiting on our gate to open up. So overall, it was 4.5 hours of considered flight time.
You must have been flying for American that day.
Yep.
American owes me money. So, all right, I'm interested on that, like the flying into the wind, because I know my cardinal direction. So if you're going west, because a flight to Dallas is slower than a flight from Dallas to Jackson. Is that true?
That's right. And
Talk to me about that.
It especially becomes prevalent in the winter months because the jet stream, which is your really strong winds, that moves north to about where we are. Mm-hmm. So that's when you start to see those real strong 60, 80, 100-mile-an-hour winds at altitude.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And when you're flying at 30,000 feet, because I did this last week, I flew to Jackson Hole, went to Dallas and to Jackson Hole, and the little screen says it's like negative 40 degrees. Mm-hmm. That's the real temp.
Yep.
It just seems like something's going to break at negative 40. Like looking at those wings,
you would think, right? I mean, a hydraulic line on your tractor gets below 30 degrees and it just blows out,
Exactly.
So that's kind of just been a marvel to me, is the amount of engineering and just the level of thought they had to put into, like, all right, well, if we use this bracket to hold this wire here, well, the problem is if we use just off-the-shelf aluminum, it might, freeze and break at negative 40 degrees, something like that,
Right.
They had to really think all that stuff through.
Yeah, the amount of testing and, man, I don't like to think about it when I'm in the air, but, all right. So is there a bucket list flight that you really want to do? You got one? You want to go to Hong Kong or something?
As far as like the big stuff goes, the kind of funny thing is,
have you flown over the ocean yet?
No. And honestly, I don't know that.
Does that scare you?
No, it doesn't scare me. I just can't imagine being sitting in an airplane for that long.
Yeah.
I'm so conditioned to doing these like hour-long flights. It's just, you get out, you get in cruise, you come down, you land, and it's over. It's done. Mm-hmm. On to the next one.
Yeah. Do you get the same crackers that we get in economy?
No.
You get something better?
What I do
prime rib.
When not quite prime rib, but a little bit better than crackers. I'll go into the flight attendants have their galley where they store all the drinks and snacks and stuff, and I go up to the first class basket. And right now on American, we've got the already cracked pistachios. Those are my favorite.
So you take your hands off the wheel to go grab that?
No, I do that on the ground. Once all the passengers have left and it's just the crew on board, I go in there, grab my snacks, go back into the cockpit, and then the next round of passengers are getting loaded while we eat our snacks and set up the flight.
So what do you do when obviously in today's world, I would assume it's just all GPS and you're not doing a whole lot as far as, driving. Maybe you are, but what do you do up there? Just listen to Ground Up Growth? What do you...
I would never listen to a podcast or your favorite Spotify playlist in an airplane.
Good answer. I do have a question. I've always heard, and I believe this to be true, once you're Group 8, are you always Group 8 for life? Because I get the toilet seat in front of the toilet every time I fly. Like, it's not even, it's never Group 1, Group 2. It's like, you know what, sir? Even if I don't have a seat, they're like, we're going to assign you a seat. It's Group 8.
That's interesting. So I'm going to be totally honest, Paul.
He's like, I've never been to the back of the plane.
I've only bought an airline ticket twice in my life.
Really?
Yeah. And so I know for a fact that you've got first class, and then Group 1 is like the people who bought their ticket way, way in advance and or checked in really early. Mm-hmm. And so they got kind of their pick of the litter. And maybe they even paid like a little extra premium to be able to pick their seat and get in Group 1 or something.
What is a pet peeve of yours in regards to 300 people on a plane? Is there something that because I tell you what my pet peeve is whenever we land and I'm sitting there and, okay, everybody wants to get off the plane. Uh-huh. But these people, I mean, I'm in the back of the plane, but I've been in a situation where somebody's still behind me and they get up and start walking in front of me. I'm like, hey, I want to get off too.
And you know,
is there a
what's
pet
funny?
peeve that
It's definitely that one, because on the CRJ, you have to take your carry-on bag, and you have
what
to
is CRJ?
Canadian Regional Jet. That's the
Okay.
airplane that I fly.
Okay.
And the overhead bins are super tiny, so you can't put your carry-on bag in the overhead bin, right?
Right.
You got to put the little tag on it, drop it at the jet bridge, and they put it under the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody gets in a huge hurry to get off the airplane and be the first one off. Well, guess what? Now we're all standing in line waiting for our bags.
Right. Yes.
So in that situation, what I do is I just let everybody else get off. If there's somebody, like if I'm in the aisle and somebody's in the window, I'll wait till the row across me empties out. I'll slide over to that row, let this person out. I'll just sit there and wait it out and be the last one off.
Yeah. All right. What's the most rewarding part of your job, or the most challenging, I would say?
The most rewarding part,
Landing.
yeah. Actually, yeah, that's, what, let's go ahead and make that both answers. The most rewarding and the most challenging is definitely landing.
Really?
Yeah, takeoff is easy. You just, point the nose to the sky, don't pitch it too hard, and you're off and away you go. Landing can be real challenging, because if it's a smooth, calm, real clear day like today, I mean, it's going to be pretty easy. Just come in, land, pitch the nose up, let it touch down, and you're on your way. If you did a real good job, you can make it nice and smooth, and that's what's really rewarding. But if it's gusty, windy, real turbulent down low, that's when it can get a little bit more challenging. You kind of have to wrestle with it to stay on path, stay on speed, and all that, and make a smooth landing.
You don't have to answer this, but have you had any close calls, or any landings or anything, or any turbulence where you're like, you know what, I don't like this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've had any. I've been fortunate to say I wouldn't say I've had any close calls where I look back and go, "Oh man, that could have been really bad." But
Right.
Definitely, especially when I was newer to the airplane, definitely had my fair share of landings that people had to go see the chiropractor afterwards. And it's just kind of the nature of flying around the South in the
Yeah.
summertime, thunderstorms everywhere. There's situations that may not, feel the greatest, but that's just
Yeah.
part of the job.
Yeah.
We've got the tools and the equipment to deal with it.
So what does a typical week look like? I mean, are you
Not typical at all.
really?
Yeah, so you think about like the oil rig guys, they go 14 days on, 14 days off, and it's very, very structured in that regard. For us, it's like, 3 days on, 5 days off, 4 days on, 2 days off, 3 days on, another 2 days off. So it's in very random bits and pieces, usually in 3 to 5 day blocks.
But do you know ahead of time what it's going to look like? I mean, it's not a lot of
Yes.
like, hey, we need you tomorrow to fly to Boston.
Right. So that's going to be your reserve pilots that do that. I'm where I'll hold what's called a line, where we have a set schedule. We've got our trips that we know we're going to fly throughout the month.
Yeah. How do you handle mental and physical demands of constant travel?
Honestly,
Do they make y'all work out or anything?
No, they don't make us. A lot of people do, and I probably should be better about it. But I like to just get to the hotel room and just check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, scroll through Instagram for a while, watch TV, and then go to sleep. But then in addition to just staying well rested, really just get used to it.
Yeah.
Your first couple months at it wears you out, and then you kind of get used to the fast pace of it, and it just becomes the norm.
Yeah. Is there a lot of continuing education that goes on with that?
Yep, every year. So every year we have to go back and do a day of ground school and a couple hours in the simulator to stay current.
What's the biggest plane you've flown?
Probably the CRJ 900, which is 75 seats.
Okay.
And so that's what, that's kind of what I'm assigned to, is the CRJ, the Canadian Regional Jet. And we actually at SkyWest fly all three versions of it, the 200, the 700, and the 900. And so most of what I do is the 700, and we've here recently started flying the 900 out of Dallas.
Okay. So you mentioned that it's a good career path. Where do you see you got plans on
So,
what your path looks like?
yeah, so originally, I kind of was entertaining the FedEx thing. And now that I've kind of gotten in the industry a little bit, know a little bit more how this works, I've kind of shifted my interest over to Delta. So I think that'd probably be my top pick of where I'd like to hang my hat at the end of the career.
And so that would be flying what, 300 passengers, or what? I don't.
Yeah, no telling. I've got a couple airplanes at Delta that interest me, like the Airbus A220, which is I want to say around 120 seats.
So what is a regional jet? What is that, like a size? Like how do you
75
categorize?
75 seats or less.
Okay.
In order to be considered
Regional
a
jet.
regional jet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So how many planes fly out of FedEx a day? Do you know?
No telling.
I think it's insane.
It is insane. It's actually, at one time I was hearing stories like FedEx is actually the largest airline in terms of equipment, but nobody ever thinks about them because they just fly cargo, they don't fly passengers.
Yeah, for sure. Amazon and all that.
Right.
Yeah, our farm up in north of Clarksdale, where I'm at, I see these planes on the path, I guess coming out of Dallas or wherever, going into Memphis, and it's just
Yep.
nonstop. I mean, you can constantly see two planes, one close and then the one on the horizon at all times.
When we were
It's just
in
amazing.
Cleveland, we would look up on some really clear nights and we could see it all the way from Cleveland. It's like, it looks like stars, but instead of, scattered all over the sky, they're all in this very tight dotted line.
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. And they're down low, pretty low at that point, I guess, on descent to land. So, what advice would you give somebody that wants to pursue a career in aviation?
It's a good time for it. Everybody talks about pilot shortage this, pilot shortage that, and it's because a lot of, the majority of the staffing in the industry is reaching retirement age. So, people are saying if you can get to, major carrier of your choice within the next 10 years, and 10 years is a big window to try to get in this industry. So if you can get to whatever carrier of your choice within the next 10 years, you have a pretty good chance of retiring in the top 50% of the seniority list.
Is there an age limit on how,
65.
you can't fly
Yep.
past 65?
Yep. At least in the airline environment, you have to retire at 65.
Do they make you do wellness tests or PT type?
The only real thing you have to do in that regard is every year you have to go get a medical certificate, which is, it's nothing more than just a checkup at your
Clean
physician.
bill of health, yeah.
But you have to do it at a FAA approved doctor. And then after 40, you have to do it every 6 months. And you have to get a EKG every year. So you do have to, keep track of your health and stay on top of it.
Have you ever had a disgruntled passenger confront you?
Not confront me. We've had them cause issue with our flight attendants. And
Yeah, you see some of these videos on social media of people acting up.
fortunately, I haven't had anything that dramatic.
Yeah,
But
you got some insulation between you and the
right, that's
flight
exactly right.
attendant. Do you see technology like AI changing the industry at all? Or how? Because I assume
It definitely has the potential to. The thing about the aviation industry is it takes a very long time to implement new technology because it has to go through so much testing and certification like that. So, could it make some changes in the industry? Most likely so. What that would look like, there's really no telling.
Yeah. All right. All right. In the rare event, my wife does actually let me get a pilot's license one day. What does that look like? How much money does it cost? How long does it take? What can I expect on that?
All right. So, for a private pilot license, which is like the very first step in any aviation career is to get your private pilot's license, you need to have, and this is going to be kind of a blanket answer, but you need to have a minimum of 40 hours of flight time. There's a whole other things that you got to have in there too, but that's, your instructor will help you get all that straightened out. So the thing about that though, is that is a minimum and nobody ever gets it done in the bare minimum of time, right? you train to proficiency, not to the minimum. So you can probably plan on it being closer to like 55, maybe even 60 hours of flight time when it's all said and done. And I think the current estimate on that would be around around $13,000, give or take, for your private. That's what we were kind of giving people estimates to expect when we were training out at Madison.
How long does that typically take? Is that just depending on everybody's schedule, or is it a?
Yep, it depends on everybody's schedule as well as people's learning pace. You know, I did it in, I think, about 6 months when I was at Delta State, flying every day, and days we couldn't fly, doing ground lessons. You know, some people can do it in 3. You know what? Actually, I take that back. I think I did do it in more like 3 or 4. Because if I remember correct, I started in the summer and I was finished by middle of the fall semester.
But somebody like me that's running a business, doing all, this stays bogged down, it would probably take me, what, a year and a half, 2 years?
No, probably closer to a year, maybe a little less. If you can get out there 2 to 3 times a week, because that's really the key, is consistency. You need to keep, showing up, take your lessons, study when you can. Where we see people have the least rate of success is, I'm going to do one lesson this week, and then, I got to cancel next week, and now we'll, try again in another week. And they don't really put
it on the front burner.
Exactly. It's got to be a front burner item.
Mm-hmm. That makes good sense.
Yep.
You see a lot of people that are retired. Well, you can't be past 60. Well, you can fly past 65 non-commercial, I would think, huh?
Yeah.
Recreational.
So some people, what they do is they'll go fly like a charter or something like that, just for something to do. Mm-hmm. We see that fairly common.
I have to look into this. Okay, so do you have a boss?
Technically, yes. Technically, no. We've got a chief pilot who's over, I believe, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denver, and Houston. So he's kind of the supervisor over all those groups of pilots. And you really don't ever want to have to talk to him. Hopefully, stay out of his office, don't have to get a phone call, that type of thing.
Yeah, kind of like going to the principal's office.
Exactly, yeah.
I've seen pictures of the cockpit there, and it looks like 10,000 switches and buttons and toggle switches and stuff. What do you know everything that's in there?
Pretty much, yeah. It's it's all pretty well organized. You've got electrical stuff here, pneumatic stuff there. Most importantly, the air conditioning's right there.
Right. Have you ever had any like faulty equipment, like a motor blow up or something before takeoff? Anything?
Yeah. Fortunately, nothing that bad, but it's kind of a consequence of flying airplanes that are a little bit older. You're going to have stuff that's broken all the time.
Yeah.
And it ranges from an air conditioner being bad to one of the seat backs won't stay upright.
Okay.
And all that stuff gets documented and made aware to us, and we have to review it, acknowledge that we've reviewed it and everything.
So you're not in on any part of the maintenance of any, even those smaller regional jets. You're not involved in the maintenance side of it, I guess, at all. I remember we went out to Carl Holcomb's hangar and was talking to him, and he mentioned like every year they break that plane down all the way down.
Yep.
And rebuild it.
Oh yeah. So your
that is mind blowing.
Yeah, and your smaller, general aviation airplanes and your crop dusters, they have to go through what's called an annual inspection. So every year, like you said, they take it apart, inspect everything, all that. To inspect an entire airliner jet every year would take 3 months. Mm-hmm. So they obviously can't have this thing down for 3 months at a time. So what they do is called progressive inspections, where 1 month they check the wheels, and the next month they check the wings, and then the hydraulics, and so forth and so on.
Yeah. I had a buddy that I think Dustin was telling me that he went to chock a big jet or something, and somehow the wheel rolled on his finger. It's been years ago.
Ouch.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun at all. Man, Joseph, this has been good. You got me wanting to become a pilot now. Golly. Can you do, like, as far as like you grass strips and stuff like that for runways on those smaller planes? Is there any kind of regulation over where you land?
As far as, your airplane and your property, no. Is whatever risk you're willing to accept,
Yeah. You got any interest in doing those float planes or like the bush
Oh,
planes?
that's every pilot's dream.
Is it?
Yeah, everybody. That's like the notch everybody wants on their belt is to go get a float plane rating.
Really?
Oh yeah.
All I can think about is the book Hatchet. Yeah, did you ever read that thing?
Yeah, I remember reading that.
So you say you're based out of Dallas. So you work in Dallas but live in Canton. How does that work?
So we call it.
You fly every day?
Yep, we call it commuting, where you live somewhere else, but you're based in one of these major hub cities. And so what we do is we use our travel benefits to hop on a flight from Jackson to Dallas. And so usually I like to do it the day my trip starts is, get up, get a flight from Jackson into Dallas, and I'm in Dallas, start my trip, work for 3 or 4 days, and then at the end of it, catch a flight from Dallas back to Jackson and go home for a couple days.
So where do you sit when you ride? First class?
Wherever I can find a seat.
Really?
So the way our travel benefits work is we're able to list for any open seat that's on the airplane. So if it's not completely full, or if somebody no-shows or misses a connection and there's an empty seat on that airplane, you can take it. Now, the way this works is those seats are given out based on seniority. So if there's somebody more senior to me trying to get that seat and there's only one seat, well, guess what? It goes to the more senior person.
Do y'all have like an app or something where this is like real time where you're trying to figure out where you're
going? It all
going?
goes through the respective airline's website. So we have a website we can access for American to get on those and look at the loads and see who's on standby for them and stuff like that. One of the unique things we have access to as pilots is we have what's called a jump seat, which is just a third seat in a cockpit. It's basically like a stool with a shoulder harness. It's not a very comfortable seat, but it gets the job done.
It's a ride.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Out of all the carriers, who's your favorite? You ain't got to say it if you don't.
To ride on is probably United.
I was going to say United. I've had really, really good luck with United.
Yeah. The problem with United here is they use a really small, really old airplane to go from, and they only go from Jackson to Houston. So the Jackson to Houston experience is not that great. But once you're on like a United 737, I mean, man, they've got it decked out.
Right.
Customer service is great. Their app is incredible. So, in my opinion, it's United and Delta are kind of competing for, best in class airlines.
Right. I would agree with that. I mean, I've just had my American stories have been just tough.
And it's kind of funny because most of your American customers, they're usually pretty chill because they're kind of used to the torture.
I was in Jackson Hole, and the lady, when I was checking my gun and all that, I went hunting out there 2 weeks ago, and she was like, I'm going to be honest with you, American's a hot mess right now. And I was like, oof. I mean, I'm all too experienced with that. But me and my wife, actually on our honeymoon, flew American and did not get our luggage.
Nice.
No, it wasn't. Well, Anyway. What advice would you give somebody, let's say, the 18-year-old Joseph that was at the crossroads of went to Mississippi State for a semester, didn't know what he's going to do, came back to Hines. Like, what would you advise somebody to do in a situation like that? Like if you had to talk to yourself at 18, what advice would you give yourself?
Definitely keep your eyes open for potential opportunities and never be afraid to seize an opportunity that's right in front of you. So in my case, I had the opportunity to go to school, and so I followed through with that. I went through and finished school and found myself going to school for something that I truly enjoy.
Yeah.
As far as what would I tell myself specifically at that time, definitely it would be to just keep your head up. God has a plan for you. It's going to work out.
Yeah. And I know we beat a dead horse on it, but the following your passion, I mean, everything stems from your passion. So, I mean, if you're making a bunch of money doing something that you do not like, that is a dead end road, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think, if you can find where your passion is and then sit there and try to figure out ways to turn it into, a monetary gain somehow, that's where you're really going to see growth. And, people want to be around people that are pleasant to be around. And
Exactly.
if you don't enjoy doing what you're doing, you're not going to be pleasant. So it is very good to hear that you enjoy your job when we're in the air. Let's see. So you talk about the potential in aviation or in your line to be able to retire earlier than normal, say. What does that look like? You got any goals on retirement? And if so, what do you plan on doing after retirement?
When I grow up, I want to be like Paul Hopper.
Come on
I
now.
want to have a nice house on top of the hill with tractors in my shop. And
No, you don't want these headaches.
no, like I said, playing around on the farm is always what I've really loved. So,
Yeah.
this job allows me to do it now on my time off, as well as, just retire on top of the hill and play with my tractors all day when I'm grown and old.
There you go. Well, good. This has been good. Now I'm gonna definitely go get a license, I guess. You have to come instruct me sometime.
Absolutely, would love to.
Yeah. All right, Joseph, I really appreciate you coming on. You got a really good story, and you're young in your career, and I wish you the best, and I think you're going to do big things, and maybe you can hitch me a ride somewhere out to Montana one day or something.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Thank you, Joseph.
All right, thanks for having me.